Okay, guys, welcome back. For the review, two things. Number one, I need to review one topic regarding strings. So we're going to talk about strings a little bit. And then I want to show you questions that are not the same, but similar to the questions that you could have Monday on the exam. And any questions that you could have, I will try to answer today. So first, talking about the strings. One thing that I need you to know for the exam and to remember. There are two operators that maybe you will need during the exam. Obviously, this applies for all the relational operators. You can use relational operators like the equal, greater than, lower than, and so on with numbers, with characters, right? Numbers, integers, floating points. We review several examples about it. So for sure, you're going to be working with the operators and in particular with the relational operators, and you're going to be using numbers, integers, and floating points, and also characters and variables values. One particular case is what happens if we want to compare two strings. What happens if you have strings? Strings like, hello, and you have a variable, and the variable have this string. What happens if you want to work with them and you want to work with this X and Y and you want to check if they are the same? For instance, for an if condition, you want to compare two strings, like you ask the user for a password and you want to compare if the string that the user put as a password is the same password that you have stored in a particular variable. So you want to compare the strings. Or maybe you want to compare if one string is greater than the other. And we need to think about what is the meaning of a string being biggest than the other. Or the same happen if you want to compare if the string is smaller than the other. So what happens when you want to work relational operators with strings? That is the particular topic that I want to talk quickly. So number one, the most important, you cannot use relational operators with strings. You cannot do those things. Those things in your program are going to be a compilation error. So this is an error. Now, the important thing is, if I cannot do that, if that is an error, if the relational operators only work with integers, characters, floating point numbers, and so on, what can I do to achieve these actions in programming with Java? That is what we need to review. Okay. Number one, the equal. If you want to do something like this, that is similar to the example that I described before, now with apples and bananas instead of hello and bye. If you want to do something like this, again, this is a compilation error. You cannot use that operator because it's relational and it doesn't work with the strings. What do? Well, the equivalent of this for strings is this instruction. The name of the first one, the name of the second one, and instead of the operator equal, what you do is dot equal parentheses, and whatever is here now is going to be inside of the parentheses. Whatever is here Now it's going to be before the dot. The dot, the equal, the parentheses. It's a method. Yes, it's a method. Why are we doing that? The principal reason, because a string, the name string, have the first letter uppercase, and that means it's a class, and we need to talk more about it. Think about this like the public and the static. I still need to explain to you public and static, but so far you have been using public and static. The thing that I am telling you right now is do not use the equal with the strings. Please use this thing. Use replace the equal when you're working with the strings with dot, equal, and parentheses. That can be used with other types, only with classes. We need to talk more about it, but the reason because we need to do this is because, remember, the type of string, the first letter is uppercase. That is the only reason. With numbers, you use the operators. So integers, double, float, charts, short, int, byte, long, with all the types that are lowercase, do you remember? With anything that is uppercase, you use the operator, just like we reviewed before. So this is the case for the operator, the equal. You use that for any value or any variable that is a type, lowercase, the one that we review, all of them are numeric. The only case so far for this thing is string, because string is the only thing that we have reviewed as a type, that is uppercase, the first one, is the only type that we have reviewed as a class. We're going to review more. So at this point, the only one that needs to do this is a string. In 2 weeks, we're going to do the same with other data types that we need to review yet. So yes, the equal and the lower than, greater than, and all these relational operators, basically for numbers and for characters. Numbers and characters use operators. The string use this new dot equal instruction. It doesn't matter. For instance, if you want to compare two strings and instead of apple, this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, but inside of the quotation marks, and the other is 1, 2, 3, 5, inside of the quotation marks, you use the equal because they are strings, because the quotation marks, remember, it's not the same having 1, 2, 3, 4 like this and having quotation marks 1, 2, 3, 4. When you put the quotation marks, what you have is a string, and inside of the string you have characters, and those characters can be the digits. When we put together the digits without the quotation marks, what we have is a number, use one number. So 1,200 and so on. So when you have strings, the variable or the value, use the equal, not the operator equal. Yes. If you ask the user, remember, you ask the user for something, you use the dialog gives you a string, and then you transform the string to numbers. And as a number, you can work with the operators. But if you do not transform to numbers, you have a string. And you say in my example before, what happens if I tell you, can you ask the user for a password? And then you can compare what the user writes with a particular password that is the correct one. And if the user gives you the correct password, you print hello. And if the user gives you a password that is not correct, you can print a message error. That is a very good question for your exam, talking about the review. Can you do a program that does that? And hopefully the answer is yes. Ask for a password, compare the password with something, print hello, print error. It's a program with 10 lines, maybe 5 minutes, 5 points in the exam, or maybe 10. Good. If I ask you to do something like that, number one, you do not need to transform the string to numbers, because what you are asking to the user is for the password. The password is a combination of characters. It can have letters, numbers, whatever. And you want to compare the password with something. This is what I am asking you to use, because I am asking you to compare two strings, not numeric values. Good? And basically what we're going to be reviewing is you do not use the equal with the strings, because you know that the equal is only for numbers and characters. Now, what happens if instead of equal, I want to ask for another relational operator, like lower than or greater than? Similar idea. If you do something like this in your compiler with these variables being strings, that is an error. And I am asking you, try to do this. Try in your compilers, see what happens. Now, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be something that the compiler is going to complain. An error, a warning, a red cross, a yellow triangle, depending on your environment. The point is, what if I want to do this? You follow a similar approach that before. Instead of dot equal, we have this dot compared to. And notice that this T is uppercase. Remember that rule about having two words together and you put uppercase the first letter of the second word so it's easy to read? So this compared to, the second word start with the uppercase. So this one is similar or the equivalent to this one. Why do we do this? I mean, what could be the reason? Because we want to know if some string is lower or greater than. Let me explain in this way. When you ask for lower than, your question is which of the two words appear first in a dictionary. I mean, if you put all these two in alphabetical order, the one that is lower is the one that is going to be first in that alphabetical order. So in this case, the answer is apple is lower than banana. So in this particular case, something like this, string 1 lower than string 2, the answer will be true, because alphabetically A before B, and that's it. It's not related with the size or how many letters you have in the word or how many letters you have in the string. It's all about alphabetical order. When you're thinking about which one is lower than, just think about which of the two words could be first in a dictionary, or which of the two words could be first if you put them in alphabetical order. That is. Why you do this? Why you need this? The instruction exists. The point is, if someday you have two words and you need to know which one go first, because maybe you are doing some sorting thing, you can use this operator. Some programs that we're going to do later in the week 7 is just like that. Give me information like your names, and I want your names in alphabetical order because I need to report your grades, and I go alphabetical order. Also, I could have another method that order your names, not your name, but your ASU IDs. So I have all you, but in order in a table using your ASU ID. For your ASU ID, I can use the relational operator because there's a number I can handle with an integer. But if I want to order my information with your names, then I need to use something like this or something like the equal. And we need to review more elements in programming because we're going to need a loop and other things. Good? So, in particular, it's going to work with numbers, yes, but remember, with numbers, if you have the quotation marks. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have inside numbers or even something crazy or A1, 2, X. I mean, it doesn't matter which character you have, but it's a string. The quotation marks or the type of the variable is a string. So it works with whatever you put inside, yes. But if you have a variable and the variable is an integer or float or something like that, you need to use the operator. Good? So obviously here, the order is going to be according with the Unicode. So the letters are in alphabetical order, uppercase, lowercase, the numbers, and some of these crazy symbols, some of them are after the letters, some of them are before the letters. Is for reviewing things. That is a very good question, and that is something that I would like you to check. I just mentioned this. Some symbols are before the letters, some symbols are after the letters. I am talking about before the A or after the C. You would like to try. But something that I need to tell you, this particular guy, the compared to, is very interesting. The compared to is going to help you, one method, to check 3 things in one instruction. It's going to help you to check if the 2 strings are equal. It's going to help you to check if one is smaller or if one is bigger. Let me tell you this. If I ask for this instruction, like in my example before, string str1 equal apple, str2 equal banana. If I ask for this, remember the first variable, full variable. Instead of the operator, dot compared to parentheses, and the second variable inside of the parentheses, closing parentheses. This instruction is going to give you 3 possible results. It's going to give you 1, 0, or -1. 1, 0, or -1. Let me tell you this. It's going to give you 0 if the 2 strings are the same. So if I have 2 strings and I call compared to, just like in this line, and the result that I get, I am storing the result in a variable, is 0, the computer is telling me that the 2 strings are exactly the same. str1 is exactly the same as str2. Exactly the same mean same size, same letters, uppercase and lowercase, exactly the same. Uppercase A and lowercase a are different. So if I receive a 0, they are exactly the same. They match. Now, in this scenario, str1 is apple. Apple A go first than B. For this example in particular, the first string is lower than the second string, lower. The result that I am going to have there is -1 because the first one is small than the second one. Small alphabetical order. Small because that string go first in the dictionary. It compares the first character, yes, but just like you do with the dictionary. If the first character are exactly the same in both strings, then compare the second one. And if those are the same, then compare the next one, and so on. Just like, imagine that you are searching for the words in the dictionary. What do? First character, the same, second character, the same, next character, and so on. In this case, just checking the first one is A and B, nothing else is reviewed. Well, the only way to know that they are equal is compare the first character, the second character, the next character, the next character. I compare all the characters and all the characters are the same, and I finish, no more characters. So in that point, I report 0 because I compare all the characters the same. I report that they are equal. If you think about it, and this is something that as a humans we do automatically, but the only way to compare two strings, and again, we do that searching in the dictionary, is character by character. We start with the first one, the next one, and so on. And that is what the computer do. So character by character. And as you can imagine, what if the computer return a 1? The computer return a 1 if the second one is smaller than the first one. So basically, 0, they are the same. -1, the first one is the smallest one. 1, the second one is the smallest. So you can imagine that you can do a program like the one that I am showing you here. You call this, and because you know that you are going to get 0, -1, or 1, well, you can take advantage of our friend if else, and you can define these 3 different conditions. Notice that the last one, we do not put another else. So we define 3 paths. And basically we can do something when the first one is small, or something different when the second one is the smallest one, or something different if they are the same. So dot equal is going to tell you true or false. They are equal, yes or no. Dot compare to is going to tell you which one go first in an alphabetical order. Do not use relational operators with the strings. With the strings, use these new elements, this new method. Good? Yeah, you can write something like that. So in this case, for instance, if you don't care about all the different combinations, you can think about what I am doing is just compare the password, and the only thing that I want to know if they are the same. You can check use, okay, if result, the only thing that I care is this, is the same password, they are equal. Or you can use only compare with 1 if the only thing that you are searching is that you want to know that the second is the smallest one. I mean, you can use any condition that you need according with the program that you are doing. In the slide, I am showing you kind of the big version, all the possibilities, but when you're writing a program, the only thing that you write is what you need according with your program. Again, as an exercise, this idea of asking the user for a password and compare the password with a string that you already have in your program and telling the user if the password is correct or not. If you can do that, move forward. Good? Any questions? So, which of those two is the smallest one, according with all the explanation? Why? The same, the same, the same, the same, but then this one have more letters, and this one do not have more letters. If you're searching for these words in the dictionary, you know that book go first just because the size, right? The fancy name, lexicographic order, that is what the program do. That is what you do when you're searching something in the dictionary. So compare character by character, and then use the one that is first in the dictionary is the one that is going to be reported like the small or smallest one. That's it. Yes, it's going to be different. For instance, that's a very good question. What happens if one string is book and the other string is book, uppercase and lowercase? They are not the same, and one of them is going to be reported like the smallest one, and the other is going to be reported as the biggest one. And my question for you, hopefully you review this, which one go first, the uppercase B or the lowercase b? This is about the Unicode thing. So they are not the same. Again, character by character, the only one that is going to be compared is this one. They are not the same, not zero. It's going to be 1 or -1. My advice, put this in a method, put this in a class with the main, and play with different values for string 1 and string 2, these two variables. Play with these methods and play with this method. Be sure that this is clear, because maybe one question in your exam use dot equal or dot compare to, just like in the example that I mentioned before, asking the user for a password and compare the password. Good? So if that is clear, that is the only extra information that you need besides the things that we already reviewed. Let me start talking about your exam. Ideas for the questions that you're going to have. First, something that I am giving to you here is a summary of what we have done. So far, we have been here 10 lectures. I make this table with a general idea of what we did in those 10 lectures. I mean, today is just reviewing things. Also, basically the main reason because I put this here is I want to give you a summary of where in the book you can find extra information about what we did. So for instance, if you think about the second lecture in which we review Java, that was basically the chapter 1 of your book. I am talking about the second edition. Hopefully the third edition is not so different, but you need to review that. The lecture 3, in which we start reviewing classes, methods, and variables. Section 2.1, so we start with chapter 2, and so on. Some topics are about a particular section, like 2.1 or 3.1 or something like that. Some particular topics are from a different section of the book, so we are not following the book page by page. So the math class, if you remember, is basically the page 43 in the second edition of the book, or the switch statement is the page 99, and so on. This is just me sharing with you where in the book you can start reviewing that topic. So assuming that you need more information for a particular topic. But again, this is edition 2, so maybe edition 3 is a little bit different. So yeah, I am reading the chat. Remember, I post the new slides with the video. So this is going to be on the video, and also usually at the end of the lecture, I update update the slides, the one that you are looking at right now, the oldest one. So you are going to have these ones at the end of the lecture. Don't worry. So the picture. This is the big picture. Remember, I am not asking you to read the book. I mentioned this in the lecture one. Reading the book is not mandatory. The only thing that I am giving you is what you can do if you need more help, if you need to access extra material to understand a particular topic. If you review the slides and you feel confident understanding the programs and the theory on the slides or during our lectures, you are fine. You do not need to read the book. There is not going to be any question in your exam that cannot be answered just with the information that we share during the lecture. There is nothing extra. Good? So the table. Now, what I am going to do quickly is go day by day. Not exactly, but kind of day by day, and sharing with you what kind of questions you can have for that particular day. This is something that I already shared with you. If you go to Canvas, I am sharing every single week questions that you can review. Today, what I am going to do right now is just review the questions that I consider the most important for you to check. So my only thing is the questions that I am going to show you are the ones that I consider more important. Maybe those are the ones that could have a higher score in your exam, but there are more. Yes, anything in the slides, anything in the lectures can be in your exam. The exam do not limit to the things that I am going to describe in this particular lecture. This review is not a comprehensive list of topics. The comprehensive list of topics is in the slides and in the videos that I have shared with you before. So be sure to review that. This is just a quick review of things that are important for you. Now, day by day. Day 2, something that I am going to ask you, multiple choice questions for 5 points over 100. What is a compiler? It's not going to be an open question, but you're going to select in 5 choices. Tell me, what is a compiler? Someone in the chat. Can you answer that question in your exam? A compiler is well, there are different versions of the exam. 2 options. Maybe for one of you it's a multiple choice question and there are different combination of things. For someone else could be an open question with 1 line and basically just like right now, you answer in 1 line and what I am looking for is keywords. For instance, if I am asking what is a compiler and I read the answer that you put in the chat like is a translator or translate this to this, that is my keyword. But you understand that the compiler is the one that is going to translate. Now, translate what? I like the answer, or I would like you to encourage to remember a compiler, translate high-level languages to low-level languages. High-level to low-level, that is a compiler. Yes, when you mention that translate Java to bytecode, you are correct, but you are giving me the definition of the compiler for Java. Java to bytecode. But in general, translate high level to low level. Obviously, in that point, another question could be, what is the difference between a high level language and a low level language? Or just what is a high level language? What is a low level language? And just be careful. Usually when I ask what is, I am not asking for examples. So if you have this question, what is a high level language? The correct answer is not, a high level language is Java. That is an example. But what is a high-level language? High-level language, a language that is close to the human, is easy to understand to the human, a language that we can use to do programming, a language with a higher level of abstraction, all those things that we review. And the low-level language is the opposite, a language that is close to the computer, a language that is easy to understand for the machine. A compiler translates high level to low level. That is a compiler, always. And the question about any code, what are you calling code? Any language? There is this thing about the compiler for Java, Java to bytecode, the compiler of C++, from C++ language to assembly language, and so on. All the languages use a compiler. Some languages use compilers. Other languages use interpreters. What is the difference between a compiler and let's talk about Java. What is the difference of the Java compiler and the virtual machine of Java? Virtual machine versus compiler. The difference is, anyone? Compiler translate. What is the virtual machine of Java? An interpreter, remember? What is an interpreter? Well, that is a feature. The virtual machine can be used across multiple devices. And we have Java compiler for multiple devices also. The key idea is the virtual machine is an interpreter. And well, just be careful. If you talk about the Java virtual machine, the Java virtual machine interprets from bytecode, not from assembly, bytecode, because we're talking about the Java virtual machine. And the Java virtual machine, its assembly is bytecode. So if we talk about that particular one, the Java virtual machine is bytecode to run the program. But keeping into the question, what is the difference between a compiler, translator, and an interpreter, such as the Java virtual machine? We talk about this in the day 2. An interpreter and a translator. What is the difference between translating a book or having an interpreter during a conference? Do you remember? Okay. Translator, compiler. The input is a file. The output is a file. If you have an input, one file, and you have the output, another file, you have a translator, you have a compiler. A compiler, always, always, always. Input, file. Output, file. The interpreter, exactly. Use us in the chat. The interpreter is real time. You remember, during a conference, you do not have a translator. During the conference, you have an interpreter. Why? Someone is listening and speaking in real time. There is no document, like document input, document output. So the Java virtual machine, the input is a program, a document, if you want. The output is action, is the computer working. So the Java virtual machine executes your program. The output is action. The Java compiler, the output is your file with your program in bytecode. Good? Interpreters, execution, compilers, create another file, translate. Some programming languages, like Java, have both. We talk about this. In Java, you use a compiler, you use an interpreter, both. That give you portability, that give you the option of your program running in multiple devices. Other languages, C++, only have a compiler because from the source code, matching code, no interpreter needed. Other languages only have an interpreter, no compiler at all. JavaScript, there is no compiler. It just the interpreter starts with whatever you create and run that. no translation involved. You are going to review more programming languages, and you are going to review which one work with one option or the other, and the difference in another class to 40. Here, our priority is on Java, and our goal is for you to know what is a compiler, translator, file to file, what is an interpreter, virtual machine, file to action. And that is the main difference for them. So, question in your exam, and now you have the answer. What is Java bytecode? Hopefully, you already mentioned this. What is Java bytecode? The answer could be, is a low-level language or a high-level language? What is Java bytecode? Low-level language. In particular, you know, it's kind of the assembly for Java, right? And that guy is the one that has the portability feature. That is the one that can be run in different computers. What do you need in order to run the Java bytecode in a particular computer? The Java virtual machine. The Java virtual machine, remember that we talked about input and output. The input for the Java virtual machine is the Java bytecode. What can I do to have Java bytecode? Compile your Java program, because all the programs that you do are the input for your Java compiler, and the output is Java bytecode. Remember, that is the process. Now, questions. Do you remember that something that we talk about it is one of the things that the compiler do, because remember, the compiler is going to do a translation. Something that the compiler do is translate, but that is the second action. The third one is review the original document, review the original program. Remember, there is one picture in the lecture 2. Review the program. And we mentioned that the compiler review 3 things in the program. Quickly, I mentioned the compiler review words, the compiler review sentence, and the compiler review the meaning of the sentence, that the sentence makes sense. And it's the same that you will do in a book or in a document. Fancy names, lexical, the words, syntactical, the sentence, semantic, the meaning. Usually we use the fancy terminology. Can you give me an example of a lexical error in Java? So I am asking, can you give me an error with one word in Java? Okay. So in this point, what I am asking you is, do you remember the rules that you need to follow when you create words in Java? And in particular, I think you are applying one right now. It's like, that one is one word. Is correct or incorrect in Java? What you're doing is, that one is a keyword in Java. That one is an identifier in Java. That one is something that we have used in Java. And hopefully you get to the conclusion that that one is an error. Because hopefully you remember that we mentioned you can use in Java as an identifier, as a name for something, a name for classes, methods, or variables, anything, but you cannot start with numbers. This is an example of one word that is wrong in Java. You can put that word in your program, and your compiler is going to tell you this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, because that word do not exist. Think about, you are writing something in English, and suddenly you saw a word, and that word do not match anything that you know in English, anything that you can find in the English dictionary or anything that you learn or something. That is what we are asking about lexical errors, words that are not correct. Another example, what if I put here a quotation mark only at the beginning? Can you agree with me that that is wrong? What is that? Is a string. Yes, but the string should have quotation at the beginning, quotation at the end. This one is missing the one at the end. So that one is wrong. It's still lexical error. All this is still lexical error because we are talking about one word. When the errors are with the words, one word, that is lexical. All of that is lexical. Oh, okay, let's put two, but I am going to use single quotation mark at the beginning and single quotation mark at the end. That is correct. Another rule that I hope you remember is if you use single quotation mark, you're creating a character. If you're creating a character, you only can put one thing inside. Maybe two if you're using escape sequence. Remember the backslash. But single quotation mark, 1, 2, A, B, C, that is wrong. That is wrong. It's an incorrect word. Again, it's something wrong with the word. It's a lexical error. So no numbers at the beginning. Quotation marks, open and close. Characters, only one thing inside. We reviewed those rules, right? In the lecture 2, in the lecture 3, we talk about this. So those are kind of examples that you can give me about problems with words. Now, syntactical errors, problem with sentence. And these are a little bit more easy to remember. Do you remember that we can have this and this and this? That is correct or not? Can we have this data type, name of the variable, and semicolon? That is fine. What if I forget and I put int x? That's it. Maybe that is the most common syntactical error that you found, missing semicolon. If you do not put here the semicolon, your sentence is incorrect because one element in the sentence is missing. Syntactical error, the most common, and everyone have done this in one point, is like you put your program and you forget the semicolon unless you have this fancy environment that put the semicolon for you, but that one is a syntactical error. Missing parentheses. What happens if I put this x equal open parentheses 1 plus 2 and I put the semicolon? It's another error syntactic, another error with the sentence. What is happening? We're missing the parentheses. And in particular, it should be there. What happens if I put the parentheses here after the semicolon? This is still a syntactical error because something is wrong with the sentence. All the words are fine. I mean, everything looks good, but we miss something in the order of the words, or we are missing one word. Anything about that, the position of the words or words that are missing or extra, syntactical error. Hopefully you remember that. The last one, the semantic error, the thing with the meaning, easy. I am going to mention the bull example in my next example. So here, use this one. Any problem with the words? If I review the words, all the words look good, right? If I review the sentence is just variable declaration equal to something. The sentence is okay. The problem is with the semantic. The problem is with the meaning. Why? because the meaning is, wait, okay, you are creating an integer variable. Your variable name is X, good. And you want to store some value in your variable, okay. But you want to store a string in an integer? The semantic, the meaning is do not make sense. That is a semantic error, classical example. It should be string. Now, let me play with you. Someone mentioned the bool. What about bool x equal 3? One, there is an error with the words. There is a lexical error. Yes or no? Tricky question. When you are reviewing the words, you need to do the following. You are in the forest, but you need to review one particular tree. If you are reviewing the words, you need to focus in the word. So you need to forget the other trees, only one by one. So you're telling me that there is an error with the words. Which word is wrong? Bold. Okay, forget about why is wrong bold. I mean, what about that? Okay, what I am telling you, bold is not wrong. What is wrong is that you are expecting another word in that position. So, what if I put here the word is or the word are is wrong? Or the problem is with the position of that word in the sentence? The problem is the sentence. Hopefully that makes my point. Ball is not wrong because ball could be the name for a variable. Ball is fine. But we are expecting volume. Okay, is or are, they are not wrong. They exist in English. As a words, they are correct. But we are expecting a different thing in the sentence. Okay, then the problem is the sentence, not the word alone. Remember that one. Makes sense. Going back to the example, lexical error, problem with the word. What you need to do, these three, this word alone, good or bad? And hopefully your answer is good. That one could be the name of a variable without the problem. X, that could be the name of a variable, no problem. Operator, no problem. True is a keyword, no problem. Semicolon, semicolon, no problem. The words, all the words, correct. Int 1 equal 1. String lowercase w equal c. This one, all the words are correct. Good. Now, syntactical error. Any problem with the sentence? With the sentence, what we review is, okay, all the words are in a correct position. The sentence makes sense. I am following the rules for the sentence. That is syntactical part. The syntactical part is, this sentence is correct. This is the name of a variable. This is the name of a variable. Equal, true. Make sense? Can I have two names for variables together, consecutive? No. You told me before, here I am expecting a type. And the type for this case should be Boolean. I have a problem here, right? Syntactical error. Something here is missing. I am expecting a type and I do not have a type. What I have is another name for the variable. Two names for variables together. That cannot happen. We do not review any grammatical rule that allow me to do that. Syntactical error. What about the following for your exam? Any error in the option B? There is an error, yes or no? I am not asking for the type of the error. There is an error? Yes. Now, next question. If there is an error, can you tell me lexical, syntactical, or semantical? Lexical. If you tell me lexical, which word is the one that is incorrect? Okay, again, thinking about the forest. Word number one, in, is wrong? Yes or no? No. The one is a word, is incorrect? Yes or no? Equal, equal is one word, is incorrect? Yes or no? The other one, the semicolon. All the words are correct. Again, you have the forest, but we reviewed 3 by 3. All the trees, all the words are fine. No lexical error. Makes sense. Now, well, we do not know yet if this is a variable. I put a number. And this is wrong. I cannot have that one, 1A together. But this one is not the name of a variable, but it's a number. So far, that one is a number. Again, we are not looking for the forest. We're looking for the tree alone. If I show you this one alone is wrong, you cannot tell me that it's wrong because the position in the sentence, because this is the tricky part. You can think that the one is wrong because the one cannot be the name of a variable. But I am not asking for if that one is the name of a variable or not. Is the one alone is correct? And if you tell me that this one is correct, this one is also correct. If this one is incorrect, this one is also incorrect. Lexical, because lexically we review the tree, not the forest. We do not review the position. We only review the element alone without knowing the things that are after or before. That is lexical. Now, all the words are correct, but the problem here, as someone mentioned, is you cannot have a number as a name of a variable. So the problem is here, but the problem is syntactical. The problem is because this guy cannot be in that position in the sentence. Again, think about one sentence in English, and every single word have a particular position in which you put that word. If you put the word in a different position, the word is fine. The problem is the sentence. That is the case here. This one is another example of a syntactical error. When you are thinking about the position of the word, you have a syntactical error. Good? This one, the C. String W equals C. Lexical error. Word by word. string alone is an error. String alone. It's lowercase. It's not the type, it's not a string uppercase, it's not the class, but you can have a variable name string, right? W. You can have a variable W equal the operator, C, semicolon, everything fine. The problem here, variable, two variables together because this guy is not the type. Oh, okay, variable and variable, two variables named together. That is what kind of error? Syntactical, the position of the word. I am insisting with this syntactical, right? The position. What happens if I put this? Okay, let's put this uppercase. There is an error, or now everything is fine? Okay, very good thing. String, uppercase, W equal C, semicolon. The words, good, 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 good. The syntaxis, good, is I am creating a new variable and I am making equal to another variable. Fine. Semantic. I have one problem. W is a string. Can you tell me what is the type for the variable C? I do not know. The variable C do not exist in this program, right? When you are using a variable that is not defined, like you mentioned in the chat, that is a semantical problem. Why? Because if you haven't defined the variable, you cannot check that this assignation makes sense. So both kind of problems, semantic. String W is syntactic because remember, this string, this is the name of a variable. This is exactly the same as having SW equals C. This is a name of a variable. This is a name of a variable. So what happens if I have two names for variables together? You cannot have that, right? I mean, what happens if I have X, Y equal 5? This is the same error. I can have this one, but this thing is kind of, what happened there? Instead of X, maybe you want to put here in. Okay, instead of string or S, what you want to have there is string uppercase, the type. So the problem is that you are using something that is the name of a variable instead of something that is the name of the type. They are almost the same, only one letter is different. The computer don't care. I mean, it could be one letter that is different, or it could be several letters. For the computer is, this is a type, this is a name. This is a type, this is a name. That is the point. That is the reason because it's syntax. Makes sense? Yeah. If you look to string alone and the only difference is one letter, for the computer is my types are this, and what you are giving to me is not a type, period. The computer don't care if the difference is one letter or more. That is not what I understand as a type. Think about giving a password when you access ASU. If you put a password that do not make sense at all, you receive an error message. If you forget one character in your password, you receive exactly the same error message. The computer don't care if the error is one character, one uppercase, one number, is an error, period. No, you cannot. If you write this is an error. If you write this, that is the name of a variable. If you write this or this, those are multiplication. That's it. Always, 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 you need to put the multiplication symbol if you want to do a multiplication. I understand that in math, maybe you put the dot, or you can just put 5x, and that means 5 times x. You cannot do that in programming, not with Java. This one is, help me, lexical, syntactical, or semantic? The 5x. Lexical, the word is incorrect. Good. X5 is fine, 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 and what? Lexical. Good. So just check that. Any question, let me know. Anything that you can think about it. If you are not sure, you can ask before the exam, obviously. Yes, review the rules. Remember, a variable name can start with any letter, uppercase or lowercase, dollar symbol, and underscore. Tricky question in your exam. Can I do int underscore equal 5 or string uppercase together? I love these tricky questions, and hopefully you agree with the chat. They work. Try. Because the name of the variable can start and can use the underscore, and this is an integer, can have a 5. This is a string, I can have the underscores in a string. Good. Practice, guys. Well, let me go back to the topic. So this is day 1, okay. Day 2, what is a variable? Because we're using variables. What is a variable? Definition of variable. There are 2 key ideas that I need you to mention to me. Number 1, store. Yes, is a place to store a value, right? And remember, every variable has a type, a data type. Why? Because the data type is the one that defines the size of the information and the type of the information. Obviously, what is a method? What is a class? You have been doing methods and classes, a lot of them. What is a method? What is a class? How many classes in a program? How many methods in a program? What is the name of the only method that the computer executes? Hopefully you can answer those. Give me 3 keywords in Java. Do you remember that slide in which I showed you a set of words, and hopefully you go back and review them and notice that we are reviewing almost every single one of them? The data types are keywords, yes. Any other option besides the data types? Public, static, class, case, break, switch, if, import. Well, global, no. I mean, we haven't used any global yet. There are global variables. Okay. Main is not a keyword. Very good question. That one is for the tricky part. What is main? Main is a method or the name of the method. I can think about options, but main is the identifier. Identifier means name, remember? Identifier of the class, identifier of the method, identifier of the variable. That is the fancy name for the name of. So you remember, main is the identifier of a method, the method that is the only one that the computer executes. So this is for you to practice. Something that you're going to do during the exam is to write a program. So I need you to memorize, because you're not going to be using your compiler, code to write a program, a full program. So I need you to memorize public, class, the name of the class, open and closing curly bracket, public, static, void, main, parentheses, string, bracket, some name, open and closing curly bracket, and inside your program. For instance, this one, system out, println, this is my exam. If you follow what I just said, and you can do that, that is 15 points in your exam or something like that. It's a lot of points for writing a program from scratch. Please memorize those. Good? They are the same. A keyword or a reserved word. Different books and different authors use different things, but they are the same. A keyword or a reserved word. Those are the tables that I showed you in the lecture 3 or 2, don't remember, but public, static, void, in, float, all these words that we have been using, those are reserved words or keywords. Yes, before a global variable and before a method, please put public, static. That is what we have been using. That is what we are going to do during the exam. Do it, please. I am going to explain why in the next weeks. The correct name in Java is method. The idea is object-oriented programming, and that is something that I need to talk about it in the following weeks. But the correct name in Java is method, even though methods are the equivalent to functions, but the name function is used in programming languages that are not object-oriented. And that is a mixture of things that we're going to review in the following weeks and things that we're going to review in CSI240. What is the difference between object-oriented, not object-oriented, and therefore method and functions. But for our purposes, they are the same, the paragraphs. My request for you, use method, not function. No methods in methods, remember. We do not put methods inside of methods. We are not doing that. Method inside of the class, period. Inside of the method, only instructions, period. No sub-methods and not sub-classes either. So those are tricky things that you need to review in different programming languages and even in Java later. For now, to keep this simple, no methods inside of methods, no classes inside of classes, and no classes inside of methods either. No crazy combinations. We have enough. Good. Now, moving forward, something that I need you to review, and this is something that I am going to mention quickly. What is the result of this? What is the result of this? What is the result of this, or this, or this, or this, or this? I give you the PowerPoint, I give you the video. Hopefully it's something that you can review. My advice for you, please, try to do this. Try to solve what is the result of this without using the computer. Because in the exam, you are not going to use the computer, right? So try to solve this. My plan was to ask you to solve this, give you 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and put your results in a piece of paper. Test yourself. Try to solve this. Take your time. And when you are done, you can go to the computer and ask the computer for the results. Your goal is whatever you answer should match with the result that you get in the compiler. So you really do not need to ask me or PA about the result because your computer can give you the result. I mean, it's okay if you contact us and ask us what is the reason or why that particular result is created. But something very, very important for you to practice for the exam, operators, arithmetic, logic, and relational operators. And remember these crazy things about using the plot with the strings. Just practice and get to the point in which you are confident calculating the result for something crazy like this. Just be free and use your imagination. Suddenly you can start like, okay, 2 plus high percentage 5 minus 1. That is correct or not? Error or fine? Why the error? You cannot use the percentage with the strings, right? Okay, so that kind of question you can have in the exam, like, okay, this is the expression. The result is A, 1, B, 2, C, whatever. D, error. And in this case, there is no other option. It is an error. So obviously, this is an example with errors. All the examples that I showed here, they are correct. I mean, you have here the result for almost all of them. This one is an error. It's one of the questions. I give you the quotation. This one is an error. Can you tell me why this is an error? The same thing that I showed you before, right? In some point that the string is going to make this to be a string, and in some point I am going to try to do this, whatever. Presence of operators, please review the presence. Which one have a highest presence, division or the percentage? Let's see, we can create a table. Division, percentage, and multiplication. The three of them, same precedence. If you have both, two of them, left to right, but they have the same precedence. What about addition and subtraction? They are above or below? Highest precedence or lowest precedence? Addition and subtraction, lower, okay. Which one have higher precedence, plus or minus? The same, right? What about parentheses? Someone mentioned parentheses. If I want to put here parentheses, above or below? Higher, parentheses. What about the relational operators like equal, equal? Equal, equal is above or below? Lower. So which one have higher precedence? Equal, equal, or lower than, or greater than, or which one? Which is the presence of the relational operator? The same. All the relational. All of them. Equal, equal, different, lower than, lower or equal, lower, or lower. All of them, same precedence. So just left to right. Logic, up or down. That one is logic, yes, the no. Which will have the highest precedence? No, and, or they are the same. The no. The next one. Okay, in that order. No, and, or. Or is equivalent to the addition. So three operators, three different precedences. Those things, please review them. So moving quick, 1 minute. What is a package? This instruction, we're going to be using that instruction for sure. This instruction for sure. What is this guy? It's a class. Why? The uppercase letter. What is this guy? a method. That is correct. Remember, please also, I mentioned this quickly, review the math class and his methods. Math POW, I showed you before, math SQRT, math sine, cosine, and so on. Maybe you will need some of them, so you'll be aware that they exist and how to use them. Examples that I am going to stop here and give you the chance to review by yourself. This is a question in your exam. I give you this code, and my question is, what is going to be printed on the screen? Just like that. What is going to be printed? And well, variables, conditions, and how the if-else work. Similar with this one, a full program. Now with the switch, what is going to be printed on the screen? And as you notice, 3 days, and in 3 days, if, else, and switch. Review them and be sure that you're confident working with them, reviewing programs that involve them, and basically create a program with them or answer the question, what is the result of? And that is going to be your exam. Any question? The option pane is a class. And that class is inside of a package. The name of the package, javax.swing. And that package is part of the Java library. So did you notice the Java library have package, the package classes, and the classes methods. javax.swing, that could be kind of the full name for the package. The library is the collection of all the packages. So the Java library is kind of the name for everything, all the packages. And you have JavaX, that is basically a package that have inside all the packages. In particular, javax.swing is one of those packages, the package swing, that is inside of the package JavaX. And inside you have this class, GOptionPane. And the class GOptionPane, one of the paragraphs, one of the methods is this showing together. Makes sense. So any last question, guys? I'm sorry for the time. For which one? This one or the previous one? In the chat, the answer should be an error when you ask about printing. Well, yeah, I mean, for this program, guys, there is, for global variables, use static, yes. In this one, I am not giving you any method. I am just giving you this small section of code. So the idea is that this segment of code is inside of a method. So there is no global variables here. Everything is local, and there is this if else. In this scenario and this scenario, there are not going to be errors. I mean, here, your question is going to be used a box and tell me what is going to be printed. Maybe multiple choice, but the choices are going to be basically these messages. For this kind of questions in which we are evaluating your knowledge about if, else, and switch, is not the place to ask you for errors. Errors, the question that I showed you before, lexical, syntactical, semantical, things like that. But these questions in particular, these are 15 points over 100. I mean, 20, depending on the exam that you're answering. So these questions have a lot of value in your exam. And basically, it's the evaluation of your knowledge about the control structures, if, else, and switch. So use your time and carefully review these kind of questions, because your answer is going to be no partial credits really. It's used correct or incorrect. I mean, you get the idea, yes or no, and is like 3 questions of the previous one that I described. It's 15 versus 5 points, more or less. It's not exactly that value, but that is kind of the relationship. 3 times the point for something like this, that for something simple like lexical or semantical error. Good. Yeah, you're going to use switch. You're going to use if else. The only thing that is not in the exam is the question mark operator. I promise, no question mark operator in the exam. Good. Any other thing? Good. Please review this, review the slides. If you have any questions, let us know. Send me an email, send an email to the TA. Good luck with your exam. See you Tuesday for the lecture. Thank you, guys. See you.